What are you trying to understand in psychology in all these subjects put together? Pattern of behavior. When it varies, you find an abnormality there. And that gets transported through the cerebrospinal fluid to the brain. Samudra neer means sea water. Ninaivu nilai samudra neerin uruvakam. Because this is the one which transports the chemistry, right? There is no solution here. Where is the solution? If you are going to look at this as a problem, it is a problem forever.
In today's episode, let's understand what anxiety means. What scare? I'm so scared. What does that mean actually? Okay, let's get into the subject. Let's know about the subject in detail from the star himself, Dr. C.K.N., a psychologist, molecular scientist, and the innovator of low glycemic diabetic friendly sugar. Welcome to Dr. C.K.Nandagopalan's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Susan. Hi, Doctor.
Hi, Susan.
Doctor, tell us about anxiety. Or is it the same as scared? I'm afraid. I'm so afraid of this. Is it both the same or is it different?
No, anxiety is different from fear. Fear is totally different. Anxiety is totally different.
What is anxiety then, Doctor?
Anxiety is being anxious. A restless part of your brain. A restless part of your consciousness. For example, you are a person who goes to work as a lady, for example. So your driver has to come on time because you work for a responsible post. If your driver is getting delayed and there is no communication from him, your anxiety will start building up as the time go by. You understand now?
Yes.
So you will become more and more anxious. When is he going to come? When is he going to pick up the phone? When is he going to whatever? You follow?
But is it a psychological condition?
It is psychological because brain is been cognition. The cognitive factor. One of the cognitive factor is imagination. You sit in your office. You'll be busy working. So today is your son's exam. It's a crucial exam, and he is weak in mathematics. So you have trained him up well with tuitions and all that, with your capacity, ability and all that. So he is writing that exam between 10 and 1. So you will be having anxiety here.
Yes. True.
Thinking of that.
Yes.
My son should fare well. If it would have been a tough question paper, he will bungle it. All that kind of thing. That is what is anxiety. Fear is something different. Fear is what you're given a new bike to your son, a motorcycle. You will be sitting in your office. You will be thinking, you will again that kind of crazy thinking, imagination. Oh, this guy, yesterday another friend of mine came and told me your son is riding the motorcycle very fast. Suddenly you will think, okay, if he goes and bangs somewhere and meet with an accident and get into fracture or something, injury and all. That is fear.
It is more
Or fear is imagination. And then fear is of many types. Fear for others' opinion. Say I lose my job today. How am I going to tell people? I'll have fear on that, right?
Yes.
Secondly, if there is a court case and I'm going to lose the judgment, I imagine I may lose the judgment, I may lose my property. So when it comes to the question of fear is one of the major factors is fear of losing things. You got the point? I may lose my job. I may lose my wife. I may lose my children. I may lose my money. I may lose my fame. It goes on and on.
But at what point does it become anxiety, Doctor?
No, anxiety is something which is a broad spectrum. Okay. Fear also sometimes one of the key factor for anxiety. Without the fear also the anxiety will be there. You got the point. Fear is not the only criterion for anxiety.
How do you know some person has an anxiety attack? They say there is an anxiety attack. So how do you know when a person has anxiety attack?
Now here what the science come, the nature science comes. Here what the nature science come, When you come to the biochemistry, the human physiology, the human science, again the psychology, the science of behavior, all these guys are trying their maximum ability to understand our thinking pattern, right? That's what in the end, right? In the end, what are you trying to understand in psychology, in all these subjects put together? Pattern of behavior. When it varies, you find an abnormality there.
Okay.
You are clear with this?
Yes.
Now, where the nature comes into play, a human thought is a matter by itself. In this whole universe, everything is a substance, not only in terms of particles, in terms of waves, in terms of sound frequency, finally in terms of strength. You got the point? Now, what we have not studied so far is the basis of the spinal cord. In all our modern science, in all our human anatomy, human physiology, health science, biochemistry and everything, and including the science of behavior, which is called the psychology, or the neuropsychosis, or the nerve engineering, all that kind of subject, give importance to the brain as the master of headquarters, right?
Yes, doctor.
It is not. Brain becomes secondary. Spinal cord becomes primary. This will be studied later.
Is it according to the ancient science that you have studied?
Yeah, I will tell you now. You must be knowing the brain and the spinal cord is surrounded with cerebrospinal fluid. Right? Initially, they were thinking about it is a shock absorber. So, cerebrospinal fluid is something, at any given point of time, if you take the substance of cerebrospinal fluid, it will be around the brain, around the full spinal cord. Okay? It is surrounding the entire brain, entire spinal cord. You can go and see this in the anatomy. This fellow will be around 125 to 150 ml at any given point of time. This is produced by certain cells around the brain and consumed again. In a day, cerebrospinal fluid is flowing. It's not the constant one, stays there permanently like a bone. No. You got it? It is produced every minute. Per day, 500 ml of cerebrospinal fluid is produced. But at any given point of time, around 125 to 150 ml will be there. It's rotating, it will stay for a period of time and then it will be absorbed. Because you need the fresh ones. They are thick, colorless oil-like stuff, you can imagine that way. Now, spinal cord produces a lot of chemistry at the atomic level or subatomic level. You got the point? And that gets transported through the cerebrospinal fluid to the brain, and that decides your pattern of behavior. When there is a variation here, there's a variation there. This is the most interesting stuff that we are yet to study in modern science. For example, I'll tell you, the pineal gland produces melatonin, right?
Yes.
That is what induces you to sleep.
Yes.
How it gets transported to most of the human brain cells? Because when the pineal gland produces the melatonin, it will put it in the cerebrospinal fluid. It will throw it in the cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid is around the brain. You got the point? And it gets transported through the cerebrospinal fluid to all parts of the brain. That we are studying now in the last 20 years. Before that, we could not. There are a lot of work going on in cerebrospinal fluid. I saw the other day one of the scientists have identified cerebrospinal fluid close to the ocean water, sea water. He says the cerebrospinal fluid is one molecule short of seawater. This was very clearly explained in the ancient science as Samudra Neer.
Samudra Neer.
Samudra neer means sea water.
Sea water.
நினைவு நிலை சமுத்திர நீரின் உருவாக்கம். Because this is the one which transports the chemistry, right? So what happens when you and me are built with the 99% of 6 major atoms? But I am always anxious. You are very calm and steady. Okay? You and me are born together. We have grown together. We are at the age of 40. You are, as a Susan, you are always calm and, steady and meaningful and, whatever you call it, majestic and all that. You never get anxious by any means. You never get scared. Whereas me, I also built with the same atoms. I am always anxious, always fearful, right? Where the difference come now? The difference come, the human live organism is a dependent factor connected to the cosmic wave constantly. The variation of that cosmic wave, what I am receiving, what you are receiving, are two different things. That decides the chemistry of the spinal cord. So the brain becomes a secondary chamber.
Okay, doctor, but my question was what are the actions or what are the physically, like what do they do when they are anxious? Because people don't know the difference between anxious and fearfulness.
See, it is not the question of people don't know. They are agitated.
There are a lot of people who think palpitation is okay. There is something wrong with their heart. It is that they are not.
No, because you don't know the chemistry of the spinal cord, you connect heart to this. Heart is only a pumping machine. Of course, any emotions. Anxiety is also a part of emotion, which will affect your heart. Every organ is interconnected. Command from everywhere to everywhere is going on inside.
Yes.
Variation will come in because pituitary regulates the whole thing from the brain. So he is going to unnecessarily create, whenever you are agitated, and anxiousness all the time is also an emotional turbulence. That pituitary get triggered and he sends command to the adrenaline will secrete, it will release unnecessary glycogen. That's going to be an overload of glucose in your blood, that's going to affect your cardiovascular system, the heart is going to become heavy. You got the point? It's a chain reaction. So percentage of anxiousness and fear varies from person to person according to his personality built up.
I got my answer now, doctor.
Now this is where it stands. Why you are different and I am different. Why you are not anxious, hardly once in 10 years you may express anxiety. Whereas every 1 hour I am anxious on something or the other. So this is where the personality trait, the characteristic traits are made or born, is the controversial topic in psychology. The characteristic traits on which the personality is built, the characteristic traits are always born because they are controlled by the cosmic waves.
So what is the solution for people who are...
There is no solution here. Where is the solution? If you are going to look at this as a problem, it is a problem forever. Where is the question of solution here? How much ever you train this person, he will be a person with anxiousness only all the time. How much ever you educate this person, he will be always fearful on everything. He is not going to change himself. That is why there's a proverb in English. It says, if at all you want to educate someone, you can only educate yourself. I think we'll continue in the next episode.
Thank you, doctor. We have come to the end of this episode. We will continue more about psychological problems that we face in our day-to-day lives. Till then, it's your host Susan signing off. Please like, subscribe and share to the ones you care. Love you all.